Good morning, Service Alliance. How y'all doing today?
Yo. Morning, everybody.
Moaning.
Happy Wednesday.
Indeed. How are you today, my friend?
Better than yesterday. Much better than last week. Feeling better. May the 4th be with you too, Alex.
Yes, indeed. May the 4th be
We
with
watched a little Star Wars last night, me and my son. He's all about Star Wars these days. Star Wars, Fortnite, and Zelda.
Nice.
And shout out to Fortnite for putting WooWare into their whatever you call it. Only reason I know that is because I have a 14-year-old and he gave me the update. He said, Daddy Wu-Tang is on Fortnite. Almost cool enough to make me play it, but not quite.
Yeah, that's funny. That is funny.
It is funny to look at all these different collaborations Fortnite has done. I mean, they've done Star Wars, Terminator, Predator. I mean, so many different collaborations. Kind of genius, really.
Yeah, they really, they just, Morning, Kyle.
Morning.
Here's the slacker going to BNI, building your business is important.
What are you networking, buddy? Easy, Mr. Network. Out there networking.
Shh. Business building is important or something. Just messing with you, buddy. Lego Star Wars. Yeah, those are weird ones, but they're kind of fun, Alex. Those Lego Star Wars.
Is there a cartoon?
Yeah, they got the cartoons with them. There's a bunch of them. There's a bunch of holiday specials and all this other crazy stuff. Star Wars isn't a giant empire led by another giant empire. So, the irony of it all. Oh, yeah, there's a game too.
Yeah, I've played the games. They've been around forever. We used to play them on the Wii, on the original Wii.
They turned those games into shows on Disney. So,
of course they did.
Yep, that's what I'm saying. That's the irony of an empire being led by a giant empire.
Speaking of shows, have you seen that show Salvage Kings?
I have not.
Do you have Hulu?
No.
Oh, well, if for anyone out there that has Hulu, check out Salvage Kings. It's super cool show. If you like American Pickers, you'll like Salvage Kings.
Yeah, American Pickers is okay. I'd actually like to meet the guys. They seem kind of interesting.
Yeah. Well, these guys are up in Canada, and they're a demolition company, a huge demolition company. But these two specific guys, their job is to go in and salvage anything in the building before the crane, the heavy machinery comes and smashes it. Nice. And they find all kinds of cool stuff. Anyway.
That kind of sounds like fun.
Yeah, it is. I like watching that kind of stuff because you learn about history and the value of different weird things.
That's awesome. Well, you want to pray us in? I'll bring the word.
Yep, let's do it. Lord, thank you for this day. Thank you for waking us up. Thank you for the work that we get to do today, the customers that you've given us, the opportunities that you put in our path. Help us to be intentional today. Help us to go out and love some people. Thank you for our families and our friends. Thank you for this awesome community within the Facebook and YouTube world. We just ask that you would bless each and every member, bless those that have joined us this morning, bless those that couldn't. Be with EJ, and he goes to his BNI group. We thank you for him and all he does for this community. We thank you for Zach. We thank you for Doug. We thank you for all the members of the community. And we just ask that you would watch over us today, help to guide us, and just continue to be with us. In the mighty name of Jesus, amen.
Amen. And keep Doug in prayers.
Yes.
He said he needs a clear head today. So we shall keep him in prayer. So today, my devotions came two separate ones, and they both kind of tied together. So we're going to start with the first scripture. It's going to be 1 Corinthians 9:24 and 27. Do you not know that in a race there are many who run, but only one is honored for winning the race? So run with the honor of winning in mind. All who work to make it their aim to run races work hard, practice self-control in all things. They do this for the headdress of flowers that only grows old and fades away. But we who follow Creator sets free, Jesus, do this for a spiritual headdress that will never grow old or fade away. So when I run, I do not run in circles, but towards a goal. When I fight, I do not swing my arms like a wild man. I aim my punches. I am rough on my body and bring it under my power, so that after I have instructed others, I myself will not grow weary and drop out of the race. And Revelations 3 and 7 might go a little further. We'll see. Write this to the messenger of the sacred family that gathers in the village of family of friends. These are the words of the holy and true one, the one who has rightful power, and the much loved one, David. When he opens the way, no one can close it. When he closes the way, no one else can open it. This is what the holy and true one has to say. So that's saying that when God opens the door, no one can close it. When God closes the door, it ain't getting open. And the first one talking about running the race to win. These go hand in hand, right? So in our business, in our life, like we have these goals that we set. We have these things that we want to do. And we don't set out with the intention of losing, right? Like we don't set out to be like, yep, I'm going to fail at this. No, we set out to win. Come on. Don't lie about it. Don't be fake humble. Be real about it. We set out to win, right? And it's like that in our life too, right? And that's what it's talking about at the end, is that the spiritual headdress that never grows old or fades away. Like we do that for a title, a medal, however you want to put it, that never gets old. We do it for eternal life. We do it for the end game, right? But that directly applies on our business too. How we conduct ourselves now, how we treat our customers, how we treat our employees, how we treat our friends, how we treat our family, all that stuff plays in. And so every step that you take it under your control. I am rough on my body and bring it under my power, so that after I have instructed others, I myself will not grow weary or drop out of the race. So as this, this is my, like, it's speaking my language, man. I'm out there training for my half marathon, right? And so it's tough. It's not easy to put your body through training. It's not easy to put your mind through training. It's practice. It's effort. It's work, right? And so, as I'm doing the training, like yesterday, I did not want to go running. I did not. It was raining. It was disgusting. I ran through 6 inches of water within, the first quarter mile. And then I had to do it a couple more times after that. But my mind and my body, I brought under control. I knew what my end goal is. I know that in 92 days, I want to be running a half marathon. And the only way to achieve that goal is to bring my mind and my body under my control. To make them obedient to me, right? And by proxy, to make them obedient to God. That's what this passage is talking about as well. We train our bodies, we train our minds, we train our hearts to be under control. And then when a path is opened, when God opens a path, and let me tell you, I've seen it in my own life. I'm currently seeing it in my own life. When he opens a door, holy cow, watch out. And when he closes that door, don't even try and open it. The pain that trying to open it brings. Whew. But I'll tell you what, when the path is cleared for you, it's amazing. It's really cool. It's really neat to be a part of that. So anyway, those are the things that were on my head. It was really cool that after the work that I did yesterday, waking up to these devotionals this morning. So it's funny how God works in that stuff.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you're absolutely right. No one gets into any competition thinking, I want to lose this competition. I don't care who you are. If you get into a competition with the mindset, I want to lose, what's the point? I mean, I'm not a super competitive person by any stretch of the word, but if I'm playing a game, I don't care if it's freaking tiddlywinks or basketball or whatever. I want to win. I suck at basketball, but if I go outside right now and I play a game of basketball, I'm not going to play hoping to lose.
That frisbee game on Oculus.
Yeah, if I go into the Echo VR Stadium with Zach and Anthony, did y'all play last night? By the way,
no, but dude, my daughter was all sorts of. It was a rough night last night. She didn't go to bed till after 9:00.
But yeah, any game we play, man. I don't care if it's Mario Brothers or the Super Bowl. You don't go into the game wanting to lose. You go into the game wanting to win, and that's how you should be in life. You know, we go through this life, and we're running this race, and I love that. I love that analogy where Paul compares the Christian walk, our walk of faith. Hang on a second.
Yeah, I love that, EJ. I heard in the first verse that we are to do what we do with all that we have and with planned intention. Absolutely. I mean, so like we've heard it said. That's the next thing he says: make a plan to win and go out and execute it for sure. Like, and that speaks to that Revelations verse as well. When we make a plan and God is in it, oh boy, watch out. So anyway, let you continue on.
Sorry about that. I heard a loud crash and my wife scream. I don't know what's going on out there, but she said she's okay. So no one's hurt. Where was I? Yeah, so we don't go into any competitive thing to lose. And the way I look at it is like this. The race that we're running here on earth as human beings, as believers, it's a race that if you're running it, you're running it. It's really a competition of what can you do to live exactly what we talk about every day. You know, loving people, loving God. How much wake up every day with the thought, how much can I love God today, and how much can I love others? And we fall short. I mean, it's just like Zach said. Nobody wakes up one morning and goes out and is a marathon runner. You got to train, and part of the training process is messing up, making mistakes, failing, falling on your face in the mud, looking stupid, but getting up and keep going. And then as you do that, and as you learn and as you grow, God is going to open doors for you. God is going to close doors for you. He is going to guide you. One of my biggest struggles is getting out of the way. Getting out of the way, getting TK out of the way so God can do what God needs to do and show me what God needs to show me. I'm famous for praying for God's guidance, and then when he starts guiding me, ignoring it. Praying for God's guidance, praying for God's help, and then he clearly shows me something, and I'm like, oh, that's not that. Yeah, no, that's not the way I thought you meant, God. I want it to be this way.
In the words of my sponsor, how's that working for you?
Yeah, exactly. And just get out of God's way. God, if God's doing something, get out of the way. Try to listen. And it's easier said than done. We all talk about it, but it's a whole nother thing to do it. He's not going to force you to do it, but he'll definitely make your life pretty miserable if you don't do it. And it's not him making your life miserable, it's you, because you're not listening and you're not being obedient.
Doug is on the wrong live. I have notifications popping up in front of my face that he's commenting on the live. He's just tuned into the wrong live. That was really funny.
How's that even possible?
I don't know. I don't know how he did that, but it's not coming in on the normal. It's not coming in on the live that we're on, so I'm not really sure what's going on. So I want to message Doug and tell him to switch videos.
Yeah, was he watching yesterday's video or something?
Yeah, so I think what it does is because it actually puts my name up there and is like Zach Ryder's live, it almost makes the old ones look like they're current, even though they're not. So, yeah, he just keeps commenting. It's really hilarious. We are all guilty of trying to run the game rather than sit back and play our cards. Goes with being a business owner. Yeah, for sure. I mean, and that's what I'm talking about here is like, how does this directly apply to business? Well, the best way for us to honor the resources that we've been given, the best way to honor the gifts that we've been given in our life is to, like EJ was saying earlier, make a plan to win and go out and execute. And so we've been given these tools, and we as the Service Alliance are trying to help create more tools for you to succeed in that. No, you're in the right one, Craig. You're in the right one, buddy. You got it. You're good. So, but we have to go out there and we have to do the work. Like TK was saying, like, God's not going to force you to do it. It sure is going to be painful if you're not doing it, though. Let me tell you, if you're if you're not following the way you're supposed to be going and you're trying to force those doors open, it is a lot more painful. Just ask me about the last 3 years. It's a lot more painful to go the wrong direction, to try and force these doors open. Good night. It's more painful to do that.
Yeah. And I mean, for most of my life, especially after, when I became a believer, it's been a roller coaster ride. It's been uphill, downhill, sideways, left, right, loop-de-loops, all that. And it's not, but you learn and you grow and you mature in your faith. It's not a one day you have this Damascus Road experience and the next day you're this perfect holy saint. it's a sanctification process that will happen the rest of your life.
Well,
Uh,
even in that, he wasn't a perfect and holy saint. I mean, he says it himself. He says, "I got this thorn in my side."
yeah, exactly.
So
Yeah,
there was something in his life that he still hadn't. It
and he
hadn't
still
been worked
struggled.
through.
He still struggled. He still had, he said the things that he knows he should do, he shouldn't do, and the things that he shouldn't do, those are the things he does.
Right.
And I think there's also a certain element to it where we have to realize what we're capable of and do it, and realize what we're incapable of and trust that God's going to do it. God doesn't want to do everything for us. God wants us to do our part, and He's going to do His part. I used to have this old fella that I went to church with. His name was Walt, and he was one of those guys. He was the hardest working dude I ever met. Anything you name it, this guy could do it. I mean, he could build you a house. He could put in the electrical. He could do the HVAC. Didn't matter. He could do it. And he was always preaching to us, if you have faith of a mustard seed, you can move a mountain. And he'd always do this illustration. He's like, you know how you move a mountain? He was like, one shovelful at a time. He's like, you got to do the work. And it's just this illustration he'd always use when he was talking to like new guys in the church or disciples that would come into the homes. And I always think about that illustration. Jesus said, with the faith of a mustard seed, you can move a mountain. Well, it's going to take some work too. I don't think that I've ever seen anybody move a mountain. So we must all have really crappy faith, or we're just not willing to put the work in.
I mean, that's where it comes in. That's where the faith comes in. You have to have faith that the work is going to happen, right?
Yep.
I mean, at the end of the day, Jesus does say, like, if you tell the mountain to throw itself in the sea, it'll do it, right?
And yet no one's done it.
Some of our minds have a hard time just like grasping that, which is probably why no one's done it. We're in constant conflict with that, right? But that's the reality. Like, you have to have that faith to move mountains, and there's also a part that you have to do in that, right? Like, yep. Faith without works is dead. But here's the thing: faith and belief in Jesus is how we end in eternal life. But making things happen on earth, like, there is some work that you have to do. We were told that, like, life on earth is work. He said that from the beginning of the book.
Yep, he sure did.
So anyone that's surprised and just thinks that, like, you're just gonna, like, pray it into existence, yes, okay, certain things will manifest, but come on. There is some work that you got to put in. You don't get to sit on the couch and just be like a distant participant in it. Like, you got to.
I have a little story that someone shared with me, and I'm sure it's pretty commonly shared because it's kind of just like a cliche little story. But there was a prayer group that would meet every week and pray for different people in the community. And they would meet in this fella's garage every week and pray for different things. And they're going through the list, and there was a lower income family in the neighborhood or in the community that needed a refrigerator. And they're all standing in this circle praying, praying for these different things and praying that God would help this lady get a refrigerator. Meanwhile, in the corner of the garage, there's a second refrigerator that the guy who owned the house has, and all he needs to do is put it on a dolly, take it over to their house. It's just like James says, faith without works is dead. We want to sit around and pray for everybody. That's great. But what are you going to do about it? Praying will only get you so far. You got to do the work.
Right.
And I'm not bashing prayer at all. I think you got to do the prayer. You got to put your faith in God. But if you're not going to do the work, you ain't got nothing coming. One thing, and I don't want to get off on a tangent here because I've been known to do that. One thing that I think is a big issue in today's society is this entitled mentality that people have. We have a culture in America where we think we're entitled to all these things, free this, free that, free whatever, and that we're owed something just for living. You're owed diddly squat. That's what you're owed. And at the end of the day, if you are capable of working and you're not willing to go out there and work and put in the time and put in the effort, as far as TK is concerned, and this is TK speaking, not anyone else, you ain't got nothing coming. You don't deserve free anything. Now, if you're handicapped or you are in a bad spot or whatever, I do believe it's our job as believers to take care of those that are less fortunate. I 100% believe that. But this entitled, enabling stuff that we see in society today, go to a third world country. Go to somewhere where there's real poverty and real despair. And you will see people that are doing their best to make ends meet, making $5, $2, $3 a day, work their tails off, and then come back to America and see how we are. It's mind-boggling to even think about. And a perfect example of what I'm talking about. We have this government, and don't get me started, that gives
no one's got to start you, buddy.
They give all these handouts, free this, free that, welfare, whatever. And I don't want to get too political, but all this stuff isn't helping people improve their situations. All this stuff isn't helping people to have a better life. It's putting them in a trap that they can't get out of, and it's bleeding down through generations and generations. But shout out to the people that rise above that. Shout out to people that don't let their situations hold them down. My boy Scott Holt, his license plate on his truck says no handouts. I love his license plate, or something like that. What does it say, Scott? No handouts or no something.
Scott always has something good to say. I want to go back to this one. I can look back 12 years and see that God was making small changes in my life to prepare me for the next step. Holy cow. Yeah. If you look in the rear view mirror, and I don't mean focus on the rear view mirror, because there are so many people who don't just like, what's a weird, you can't drive forward if you're always looking in the rear view mirror. So keep that in mind. But if you look in the rear view mirror and you're like, oh, hey, that's how God was moving. I had no idea in that moment. Like, why did I go through that season? Why did that person come in my life? Why did that person leave my life? Why did this happen? Why did I end up here? Why did that? And you look back and you're like, whew, that was pretty cool. I literally just had that conversation yesterday. So it's always cool to see. We are God's hands and feet. We need to do his work. Yeah, for sure. Like, we can't just sit back idly and expect it to happen. Like, we're called to go, right? Like, we're called to do, Craig, TK, can you send me a free cap?
No, man, you had to work for this cap. You had to work for it. Yeah, that's it. No handout.
Yeah. I love it. With the and sign. That's my favorite part. Yeah. And yeah, same here. I mean, same here, Gaspar. Like, I had no idea what God was doing in my life all those years ago. Like, the people that have come into my life, the people that left my life, the movements that happened within my life. EJ and I were talking one day about like how I got the appliance business, and like, you go back to where the original owner was praying for me to come back to church. You go to how I got my first month of financing, goes all the way back to, my great great grandparents becoming friends with another family in the community, and then the generations becoming close to each other, and then my mom and my godfather becoming friends, because they grew up together from childhood, and then him becoming my godfather, and then eventually going to seek business advice from him, and just like then him blessing me with a loan for the first, like, just, you can look all the way back. You can go even beyond your own generation of what God was doing, if you're willing to take a moment, and look and see, and sometimes in that you find even more blessing. Like you're able to be more thankful. At least I'm able to be more thankful in those moments. And sometimes when it's in our own immediate like circle, like it's hard to look back 1 year, 6 months, 3 years, 6 years, 8 years. You know what I mean? Like it's sometimes hard to look that near term and understand what God is doing. But in time, when it is revealed, it's actually pretty amazing what God does in our lives, who He brings into our lives.
And I think it's okay too to not, or at least for me, a lot of times I ain't got a clue what God is doing, and that's where faith comes in. It's to understand, God, I'm not sure what you're doing here, but I'm just going to trust you. I'm gonna do my best. I'm gonna do my part, and I'm gonna trust you that you're gonna do your part. And if we're doing our part and we're trying to do what we can do, I personally believe that God's going to do what we can't do and guide us and lead us, and it's not always going to look the way we want it to look. I guarantee you the direction that you're going in right now, you didn't expect. Some of the directions that I've been twisted and turned, I didn't expect. If you'd have told me 15 years ago, when I was in full-time ministry working for a church, living with uh homeless people and people coming off of drugs and all that stuff, that 15 years from them I would be owning an appliance business and another business with four people, helping people in the appliance industry and in the service industry. I would have been like, what are you talking about? I'm going to be in the ministry the rest of my life.
Well, and that's
no
my point.
way.
That's my point. I mean, like, I know there's a path laid out in front of me. I just, because I know that that's the way He's guiding. I don't know where the heck it's going. I don't know how He's going to do it. I have no idea. I know that there's a path laid out in front of me. And so I'm doing my best to follow that every day. What I'm saying is I'm looking back going, oh, that's how that lined up. And, and then thinking back to that moment and going, I remember what I was feeling. I would remember going like, God, why are you like letting this happen? Why am I going through this crap? Like, what is going, seriously, like, just get me out of this. I don't want to be here anymore. And looking back, it's like, oh, well, that's why I went through that. Holy cow. That was the point of that, So you have to look both directions. If that makes any sense to you, like you have to look both directions. You have to know that there is a path laid out in front of you and do your best to follow that, right? Do your best to trust and have that faith in that. It's hard. If you knew the path that I was on at the moment, and TK knows some of it, like, holy crap, it scares me. I have no idea what God is like, just no idea what He's doing. But I know that that's the path. I know that that's the direction. I'm just trusting that He's going to make it happen, But at the same time, I can look back and understand that here's why I can trust God. Like, not that He has to prove Himself, but He's proven Himself. He's proven Himself faithful time and time again. If I take the time to look back in my life and go, oh, hey, yeah, that's where where God was,
I think it's important that we focus on what's ahead of us, but never forget the trials and the miracles and all the different things that God's done. Paul said forgetting those things which are behind me and reaching forth to those things which are before me. But Paul didn't literally forget the things that happened to him in his past. He
Not at all.
constantly talked about it. He constantly quoted it. He constantly used it as a lesson to new believers. Hey, I used to be the persecutor of persecutors of Christians. I was persecuting Christians like nobody else around. But here I am today professing Jesus Christ. And he never forgot where he came from. He never forgot all the things that God did in his life in the past. But he said, I'm pressing forward to what God has for me in the future. I'm pressing forward to the end of the race. Because if you're running your race backwards, constantly focused on the past and,
Yeah,
oh man, I can't believe I did that. Oh man, I can't believe I did this. Paul didn't sit around and do that. He said, look, I used to be the worst of the worst. I used to be the one out, ordering Christians to die. He said, but now I'm focused on going forward, and I use my past to learn and to my testimony as a tool to proclaim the good news of Jesus and what he's done for the world.
Yeah, and that's the thing. That's it, right? Like that's the secret sauce. Look back. You got to know where you came from,
Yeah.
but you
To know
can't
where you're going.
focus on that. If you focus on that, you're going to trip on the big old rock that's in front of you.
Yeah.
You want to use the driving analogy. If you spend your whole entire life looking in the rearview mirror, trying to drive forward, looking in the rearview mirror, you're gonna miss the freaking semi that's barreling down at you.
There's a reason the windshield's so big and the rear view's so small.
Yeah, it seems cliche, but it's true. Like it's true. But that doesn't mean that you don't have to look back once in a while and realize that, hey, like there might be some danger in the past, or there might be something that I can learn from.
Yeah.
In the
Side view mirrors too. Make sure you ain't gonna run into someone gonna slide swipe you. I drove this rental car down to Atlanta, and it had this blinky thing on the mirrors. And if I took my turn signal on when the light was on, it'd go beep, beep. Oh man, that thing drove me crazy, and I could not figure out how to turn that thing off. But I mean, if you think about it,
it lets you know someone's there.
It lets you know there's danger, and that I think there's a sermon in there somewhere for a preacher, for any preachers out there, but I can't think of what it is because I'm not a preacher.
I'll work on that, brother. I'll work on that. No, this has been fun. This has been a good conversation. I think it's so important, and I mean that's really where it is in business. Like, I know we spent a lot of time just kind of on the gospel side of this, but in the business side of this, like if you're spending your entire time looking at, well, like business in the 90s was great and we had direct drives and guess what? They're gone. Get over it.
Yeah, great
Keep
analogy.
moving forward.
Yeah. Unless you live in Richmond, then we see them all the time.
But the point remains, oh, well, I can make a living on only washers. No, you can't. Most of them are disposable now. Go learn some sealed system or something. You know what I mean? Like you got to look forward. Oh, all my marketing it's in the phone books. Phone books are dead. Come on. Like get with the time. That's the point. Like that's the point. There's these motions, these forward motions, and you can't constantly live in the past. If you want to succeed, if you want to help a lot of people, right? If your goal is to help a lot of people, if your goal is to grow your business and by proxy help a lot of people by doing that, then you got to make some steps and do some things to make that happen. And you can't do that if all you're doing is looking in the rearview mirror, because the rear view is the rear view. What are the next steps heading forwards? That's what you got to be focused on.
For me, I do spend time looking at the past, but I spend more time focused on the future with my business, setting goals. I look at the past to learn what mistakes I made, what I did right, what I did wrong. EJ's helping me with some things right now because EJ's just really good at like the numbers part of applying of a business, and he's helping. And a lot of the numbers that I thought I was doing, now that we're really crunching this stuff down, they're not what I thought they were. Either that or I'm not tracking them properly or whatever. So I'm looking at these things from January, February, March, even April last month, and I'm looking into May to say, all right, what can we do differently? What changes can we make? We're looking at the past, and the sole reason we're looking at the past is so that we can improve our future in our business.
And
We're not looking at
you also have a guide in that. That's an important part in that. You have EJ helping you through that. Because I'm going to be honest with you, when he told me what your numbers were, I went, yeah, I know. He goes, what do you mean? I'm like, I just based on what information TK gave us, that it's not surprising to me. I'm not surprised that like what he thought were his numbers and what his actual numbers are. Like, I'm not surprised what his actual numbers are. But you don't know that unless you have that guide, unless you have that map to take a look and go, okay, here's what went well, here's what didn't go well, here's what our actual current reality is. Like, you need all those pieces, and you need someone to help you to figure out a way forward from there. And you're beginning to tie that all together. And that's what we're trying to teach in the Alliance. Like, there's all these different pieces. And if all you're focused on is, well, I'm busy, my phone is ringing, the bank account is full, holy crap, you're missing a lot of the picture.
Absolutely. And if you're just getting started and you are in a beautiful place, because hindsight is hindsight. Hindsight's 2020. But we're telling you right now, if you're out there and you're just getting started, if you're still a one-man show, start knowing your numbers now.
Yes.
I didn't do it. I am living proof. Now, I am fortunate and blessed that my company does great. Is it doing as good as I thought it was? Maybe not. I mean, we're killing it. I won't lie, but we can do better. And when I'm looking at the first call completion rate, and I'm looking at the recall rate, and I'm looking at the diagnosis only rate, I wasn't tracking all this stuff. I was just kind of in my head, all right, yeah, I ran 8 calls today. I completed 7 of them. I wasn't keeping track of which one was only a diagnosis. I wasn't keeping track of which one was a complete repair. It was all just jumbled in. It wasn't even on paper. It was just in my head. I did 7. I ran 8, completed 7, ran 6, completed 5, ran 6, completed 6. Man, my first call completion rate is great. But once you put it on paper, and now I have a goal to work towards. Now I have a goal with my numbers for each month. If I did, let's say I did 50,000 last month, I have a goal for next month. Let's hit 60. And it's such a powerful thing to be able to look these things that you're learning as you look at your numbers and you look at different things in your business. I could sit there and be like, oh man, I thought this was better than that. Woe is me. I suck, man. I'm a horrible business owner. I'm just going to crawl back in bed and be a little baby. No, I'm not going to do that. I'm motivated. I'm like, dang, man, I got so much room to grow. I can improve this. I can improve that. What can we do? Let's talk about it. Let's have some meetings. Let's put some plans together and let's make it happen.
That which gets planned and that which gets tracked gets taken care of, right? Like in my running, I have a running plan. I know what my next 93 days look like for my running, for my nutrition, for my whatever, right? I also know what I've done in the past. So that's both directions. Just like you know what you did the last quarter. You know what you want to do the next quarter, right? So now you have the map, you have the guide, you have the past as okay, here's the things, here's what I want to achieve. And you have a guide that's helping you kind of rectify the two. Okay, how do I make this jump from here, right? From here to here. There's a cavity in between that. And how do I rectify those two? Well, that happens in that planning. That happens in looking back and learning those small incremental things that you can do to be just that much better in the next month. And that helps by having people guide you into that next step, into that next level. And that's how it gets done. that and a little bit of motivation, like he said. You got to be motivated to get out and do it. If you just think you're going to lollygag along, it's not going to happen.
No, it takes work.
It does. Well, it was a good talk today, man.
Yeah.
I hope you feel better. I hope you get rid of that, whatever that is you got going on there.
I mean, I feel a million times better. It's just the lingering cough that's getting old.
Yeah. Numbers reflect what's going on in your business and your team. Be disciplined and knowing your numbers for sure. Yep, 100%, Steven. 100%. You can't make the pivots if you don't know what's going on. So, all right, guys. Well, that's what we got. What's today? Today is Wednesday. EJ should be bringing the word tomorrow. On Thursday, we switched days because of his BNI. So we'll be back tomorrow. Check the top for announcements if you're in the Alliance Facebook group. If not, we'll see you tomorrow. Have a good day, guys.